What's up, everybody, and welcome to the recap of SPY for today. So yeah, we're gonna be discussing all the solid trades playing my style that I saw today on SPY, and I just want to go through how I was able to lock in some solid profit on one trade today by playing my patient potshot strategy, and just overall discuss the way I looked at the market today. So yeah, if you guys don't know, I trade between levels to levels. This is my first public YouTube video, so if you guys want to learn more about my trading style, then make sure to join the Discord as well as follow me on Twitter. I trade support and resistance between line to line. I'm focusing on A plus setups and things like that. So before every day starts, as always, I draw pre-market levels, which are solid rejections, solid bounces that happened in pre-market on SPY. So I draw those in blue. Okay, so this is my trading view, and I had 3 pre-market lines today. Or actually, I had 4 pre-market lines today. So right up here, we saw 2 rejections, and I put that as a resistance in pre-market. This wick as well acted as resistance up here. Okay, we had a solid level of resistance right here in the beginning of pre-market, acted as support right here, as resistance right here, and as resistance mainly right before the market opened. So this level was going to be key for me when the market opened. I was looking at it like that. We had another level with some support in this area with that candle and some resistance happening right here. Okay. This level, you could have drawn it right here. Okay. With this resistance or right here. Okay. I chose in pre-market to draw it like this, and that's what I'm going to show you guys. Okay. But both of these levels were solid levels to use as support and resistance. Okay. You could have both, but when you have such a small range between the two levels, they won't really help you much throughout the trading day. Okay. But basically, this is, I'm going to just go through the market as the way it was. Okay. So we opened up, we started chopping a little. Okay. I'm not forcing any trades. I'm waiting to see what happens. Do we break above this resistance? And I would like to see us break above that resistance to find an entry on the retest as support. Okay. So my A plus setup is I want to see old resistance become new support, okay? Or old support become new resistance, all right? So right here we have a resistance. If we would have broke that resistance, came down, retested as support, that would be a very solid call entry. This is what I'm thinking about when the market opens. I don't get into puts here because it looks like we're going down. I don't get into calls because we're breaking above. I don't do any of that. I wait and see how the market reacts to my levels, okay? And my A plus setup again is I want to see a break and a retest of a level. So if we have a resistance, I want it to see a retest as support and a support retest as resistance. So right here, we have a vivid level of support, okay? Pre-market, 1 bounce, 2 bounce, all these candles bounced, these wick bounced around this area, okay? Now I see we break through, okay, down, we break that support. Then we come up, we retest it, and this was a very solid put entry. Okay, I'm going to go into the trade that I did take later on in the day, but these are all the entries that I think are good playing my style on SPY. I don't sugarcoat it for you. I show you the losing trades and the winning trades together. This one right here would have been a losing trade overall. Okay, now I would have entered puts right here off that support level acting as resistance. Now, where would I start scaling? I would scale on this candle. Why would I scale on this candle? It's because we actually just previously found resistance on these 2 candles right here. So I'm expecting to see some bounce right here. I was not expecting to see this kind of bounce, but if you did take puts on this green candle when we came up, okay, and touched that line, you would have wanted to scale some at this point, okay? Okay, because that is a level of resistance, and we know that resistance can become new support. Okay, we bounced off that level and started moving up. Now, where would my stop loss on this trade be? My stop loss is right above the candle that I entered on. Okay, on some wick that makes sense. Okay, on this, I see that we have a wick right here with 2 wicks right here founding support. I know that this support can turn into resistance. So if we do break this support, I don't no longer want to stay in the trade and hope for it to reverse and go my direction. So if you did enter puts, you would have scaled some here, and then you would have gone stopped out on this candle, okay? Once we closed above and continued pushing higher through this level, okay? So that's trade number 1 that I see, all right? We started moving up. We break that resistance, okay? Now what am I looking? Can we come back down and retest this resistance level? We never came close enough for me to get an entry, so there is no good entry for me here, okay? Playing my style, you're going to have to wait for the setup to present itself and then take your entry, okay? Now, what do I see here? I see we start making a move up, and we create a sort of trend line, okay? We have 1 bounce, 2 bounce, 3 bounces along this trend line, okay? This right here is another very solid call entry off of this trend, okay? You're playing a simple trend line. There is no stress. And if you break the trend line just a bit and we close below it, you're out. Okay. 2 very solid call entries right here off the trend. This one was an even better setup. Okay. We had an old resistance that broke through with lots of volume on the candle. Okay. Then we retest on a candle with less volume. Right here, very solid call entry. Old resistance became new support, as well as this trend line. We have a bullish trend line. We have old resistance becoming new support. You would have gotten your entry on one of these 2 candles, and then you would have scaled at this resistance. You want to scale at this resistance because previous to this resistance, we came down. When we came up here, there were sellers. We came down. If we come up here again, you don't assume that this time we're going to have a move up. You see, you want to take some profits. This would be my target up here. If I took calls here, this would be my target. All right. So we break this trend line. That's at this point, this invalidates this trend line. So I'm no longer thinking about that trend line. Okay. Now, what I do notice is that we have a vivid level of resistance. Okay. This is another one of my setups that I don't consider A+, but I call it the flag play. If we have a level of resistance or we have a level of support and we have a micro trend, if we see us rejecting that resistance and then breaking that flag, okay, this micro trend line, you could call it, very solid put entry, okay? So right here, you could have entered some puts, all right? We have a resistance. It got rejected twice in the last 30 minutes. Okay, now it's the 3rd time coming up. You're assuming that we are likely to reject, but you're not taking it the moment we come up to the line. You're taking it after that micro trend breaks for extra conviction. So we're coming back down. So very solid put entry right here. Now, this is the trade that I took. Okay, I couldn't have asked for a better setup. Okay, so what I noticed is, we're consolidating. We had a move up. We're consolidating. We are failing to make higher moves from these previous highs, okay? So now we're moving down. We have a support level right here, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and mark this with my, horizontal line, right? Right? You could have just adjusted this level right here to here or drawn a new line, whatever you want. But you notice that we recently created a level of support right here. I draw my levels at the bodies of the candle. We had a ton of bodies right here finding support with bouncing off of this level. Now look, we break through with good volume on this candle. Okay? Very good volume. All right? This next candle is followed by even more volume, showing there are a lot of sellers under that level of support. I'm not taking my entry at the break. I'm taking my entry at the retest. Okay? So we come up, this red candle right here, it comes up, touches that support level, and I get my put entry. Okay, you can adjust that like this. You get your put entry. Okay, now this is exactly where I entered, and turned out to be a very solid trade for me. Okay, I got in some puts right here, and I have my trade recap on my Twitter if you guys want to check out the exact contracts that I entered. But I got some puts right here off the retest of that old support. Now, where am I scaling the first portion of my position? We recently just found a support here. So what am I expecting? If we come back to this level, we are likely to bounce off. So if I entered puts right here, I am scaling some at this support. Okay, so this candle, I scaled some right here. This right here happened quick. Very solid move already. About like 15 bucks a contract right here. You're up. All right. That's already like 15%. Okay. Contracts were about 100 bucks. I think I was up like 15 bucks a contract on this candle. I think maybe even more. All right. Now, I stay in this trade. My stop loss is above this wick. A close above this wick. All right. So I'm staying in the trade. No reason for me to get out right here. Now I notice that we are rejecting here, so I do draw a trend line. All right, this trend line may come into place later on and can help me either get an entry if I did not enter yet, or it can help me stay convicted that we are in a bearish downtrend and that we are likely to continue for the time being. So I'm in puts. I scale some here at that support. I'm looking at the most recent information. I'm not looking at the support that was created 5 days ago. I'm looking at the support that was just created. Okay? We find support. We continue down. Now, where do I want to scale my next position? It's at my next line down. We just recently had a lot of resistance right here. Okay? So I'm looking to scale on this candle because I know that old resistance can act as new support. So I'm scaling some at that resistance. All right. Now, this right here, if you're in these puts, you're staying in these puts, but this right here is another solid entry. Okay. We have a support right here, right? If you want to adjust it, I look at the most recent information at the bodies. We break down, we come up, we retest that level for a solid move down. All right. I trade within 5 cents of my line. So if the price comes within 5 cents of my line, I'm looking to get my entry. All right. All right, so very solid entry again. Also a solid entry because of the trend line. But if you did get into puts here or here, all right, all these entries are good. This is just extra conviction for you to stay in and to keep holding your runners. There is no reason to take profits and get all out right here if we're respecting the trend and we are rejecting previous supports as new resistances. That just means we're in a downtrend. And, you stay. If you took puts here, you really shouldn't have got out until all this choppiness here. All right? Taking profits too quickly is going to skew your risk to reward and make you end up having very similar profits on your winning trades as losses on your losing trades. All right? So if you were in puts here, all right, you scale some here, you're scaling some here. You're staying in. Now you want to scale some at that support through this candle right here. All right, because we're dropping down through that support and, last time we bounced here. So this candle into strength, you're scaling. You want to be looking left. We have a good level of support right here. You want to be scaling some here. Okay. Now, where would you want to get out, or where did I get out? I got out at this double bottom because I felt that we were oversold at this point. All right, I was up almost 100, I think over 100% at this point from this entry right here. I was happy with my profits. All right, and I noticed that we were approaching this level of support and this pre-market range that we were at the beginning of the day, and I was expecting some chop after this move. All right, I actually got out at a perfect time. All right, contracts were only up a little bit after this move down, but there was no better place for me to get out. Okay, so I got out right here. Very solid trade, playing simple line to line. All right. Now, I notice, all right, that this trend line, all right, we break above it, we retest the trend line on the other side. All right. This is a two-way street setup. Everything is in my PDF, okay, all these setups. right here, okay? I forgot to mark that up, so let me go ahead. Right here, very solid entry. Now, at the same time, some more conviction for this, or, something that can help you see why we are likely to move up. We have a inverse head and shoulders right here, okay? We have that trend line being retested. We have an inverse head and shoulders, and we have a support level right here that you are entering on. So your stop loss, there's no stress. Your stop loss would be a break below that wick and a hold, all right? You could enter calls right here, and you could take that up through this trend. While you are also noticing, if you're in calls here, you also notice that we are making a trend right here. You could have entered calls on any of these bounces for quick scalps, all right? Do I suggest entering all of this? No, because we are already consolidating after this move down. However, you're entering with good risk to reward on your trend line. Your stop loss is a break of the trend line. There's no risk. Very simple, okay? But if you already caught this move right here, or you caught, this move up here, all right, or any of these trend line plays, you're in good green, okay? I take, when I'm, I take about, 2 to 3 trades a day. I try to, okay? No more, all right? So we're in this trend, any of these entries off this trend line were good. If you got in an entry right here, that would have been even better, that awesome move up. All right. At this point, I wanted to talk about this setup right here. Okay. So if you're playing my style, this looks like a good setup. We break that resistance, we come down, retest as support. It's not a good setup if you're looking at volume. This candle right here and this candle are the same size. What that suggests to you is that the size of the candle is the same. There's a same amount of, pressure in those candles. Okay. However, the volume of those candles, the specific amount of orders, and the money that's being traded within that minute is more on the selling candle. You see this candle right here? If you notice, it has more selling than this buying. So that suggests to you this is not a good trade. All right. That's what you have to be paying attention to. All right. That's the point. All right. Now, why would this setup not be good for calls? First of all, this line is already invalidated because we already moved through it. And if you were entering calls, it would be off of this level of resistance because I play the body. Now, why would I not enter this? Another reason for calls right here is because this is a one candle pullback. I don't enter one candle pullbacks. I want to see a good retracement, right? Now, what I do see right here is my flag play. We have a resistance that was just created, all right? We come back up to that resistance, all right? I draw a flag on those candles. Once we break that flag, I take my put entry on this candle, and I go down, all right? You take profit at this support, all right, and you take some more profit at that resistance, right? If you notice, we bounce right off this resistance level, okay? All right, right off that resistance level, okay? So this right here could have been a solid call entry as well, all right? But if you're in puts, you're taking profit here, all right? Because old resistance becomes new support. This point we're moving up. I don't really see much solid entries right here, but again, you could have been playing a micro trend line right here. Okay. However, after we create these two bounces right here, I do notice that we have a trend line. Okay. Now, this right here would be an example of a losing put trade. Okay, that I would have taken. I show both trades, losing and winning. We have a support. We break down. We come up, we retest with less volume, okay, on this candle. Pretty solid put entry off of that support right here on those bodies, okay. This would be a losing trade. You would have gone stopped out right on this candle close somewhere around here. All right, no trouble. If you took this trade, you would have lost like 5% on your position. You got entry right on the line. You got stopped out right here. This trade would have got you 100%, okay. There's no problem. All right, this is how playing level to level creates incredible risk to reward because every trade that I go into, my worst possible scenario is I lose 5% of my position. All right. Okay. Pretty solid trade right here. We have resistance. We break 2 candles, retest, move up. All right. Not the greatest because we had a 1 candle pullback right here. But after you saw the second candle get sucked back up, that could have been a solid trade. Okay. But again, because of that 1 candle, this would probably not be a trade I would personally enter. I do like to see more than 1 candle pullback. All right. So we're rejecting. We have that resistance right here. Okay. So, we're rejecting off that resistance. You got to keep this in mind. You also, this trend line, you notice that we already created 3 bounces. 1, 2, 3. This right here, solid entry, just right off the trend line. Very simple. No stress at all. Okay. So pretty solid entry right there. Very solid entry for puts right here. We make a move up. We have this area of resistance. All right, we make it right back up to that level. You draw your micro trend line, the break of that micro trend line, and your inputs, right? The most important thing about this is it has to be rejecting some sort of clear level of resistance. Every time we came a move up here, every single time, all right, we rejected, okay? So that's that. Now, what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So there was another good entry right here for puts. We have this trend line, two-way street setup. We break. We retest the trend line on the other side for a move down. Okay? It's just as simple as that. This trade, I don't know if I would have wanted to stay in through this chop, but there's no reason to get out because I play my stop loss. I have a plan before I get my entry. The plan here is my stop loss is right above those wicks. If we close above, I'm out. If something else happens, I'm in. There's only 2 possible outcomes. Either my profit target gets hit or my stop loss. So, I would have stayed in this trade. We went through all our lines, and, a very solid trade down. All right. But again, the best moves were in the morning like they usually are. Okay. I love trading in the morning. I usually like to be done within the first 3 hours of the day. All right. And if I get a couple good trades in the morning, right, the first, hour of the day, I could call it a day at that point. All right. Of course, I'm still helping you guys out, to trade, and talking you guys through trades as much as I can, because, I want to do my best to guide you guys through the market at all times because I know that some people can't trade, in the morning or they can't trade during this time or whatever. Okay. The other trade that I see was an awesome trade into market. I usually don't like to trade the last hour of the market, but especially don't like to trade the last half hour of the market. But if you are, it's fine. You can still succeed with that. We have a trend line right here with 2 clear rejections. One right here, one right here. Then we break that trend line. We retest it. All right. And for a move up. All right. Solid entry on two-way street setup. All right. So that kind of wraps up the day. I think today was some of the best price action we've seen in quite a while. Okay. Amazing, amazing setups all over the board. And I think if you were able to play the chart correctly today, and not overtrade and try to force setups, okay, today was a pretty, pretty clear day in terms of trades, playing my style, all right? So yeah, that kind of wraps it up for me. If you guys do have any questions, you can, of course, put them in the comment section. I answer every single question. You can also join my Discord server and DM me or ask in the chat, about anything. I'm doing my best to try to help you as much as I can. If you guys do not have my PDF yet, all right, I do almost weekly releases on them. I release about 10 copies every week, all in my Discord. They detail my entire strategy, so if you want to check that out, make sure you join my Discord as well. But yeah, hopefully this helped you guys out in some way to have a good look at the market. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to smash a like. It helps out with the YouTube algorithm. But I'll see you guys in a bit. Peace out.